How's it going, everybody? In this video, we're going to take a look at our next FTD topic, which is going to be setting up the FTD device to be a DHCP server. So currently the way we have it set up is if we look at the configuration here on the connection that we have to the FTD device. So we're currently connected to FTD1 via SSH, and we are, if we do a show interface IP brief, you're going to see that everything looks pretty good. We're squared away, stuff like that. Now, in order for us to get R3 to have an IP address, because currently R3 doesn't have an IP address configured. What I can go and do is I can configure R3, which is right here, to request an IP address from FTD1. So I'm actually going to go to interface gig 0/0, type in IP address is DHCP. I'm going to no shut the interface, and I'm going to come out here and debug IP DHCP or DHCP, and we're going to just hit the enter key just to see what's going to end up happening. It should start to send out messages to the server, and there it goes. We're sending discover messages out, and what I'm going to go do is on FTD1, I'm going to go to device and then device management. Give that a second to pull up. And once that does, I'll be able to configure FTD1 to be a DHCP server. So right now we're still asking for a DHCP address. We're not getting anything. We're sending out messages, but there's nothing happening currently on the interface. So we're going to wait a second. Let me go ahead and turn off dark mode. So in order to configure DHCP on the server, we first have to go to the edit button, and then we'll go to the DHCP tab. And here we need to configure it for DHCP. So the domain name, we're just going to use sn.com. The primary DNS server, we don't actually have one defined yet, but I can go here from the drop down. Nothing is there. I'm going to hit the plus sign here to add one, and I'll come in and I'll specify the name is going to be r4_DNS. It's going to be a host IP address, which is going to be 41.0.0.4. Currently, there won't be any reachability to that because I haven't enabled NAT on the ASA yet, or I should say FTD. I'm going to go ahead and click on save, but actually I should modify that value so it's R4DNS, or RDNS, whatever. So in order for this to work, I need to come here and click on the add button, and then the interface is, we'll say inside. Sorry, it's going to be 3. I will say 10 through 10.1.3.20, and then we're going to enable the DHCP server process. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK, and then that'll be the configuration that needs to go in play. I'll go ahead and I'll save the config, and then I will push the config out to FTD1. I'll go ahead and deploy and give that a second to populate. I'll click in here and then I will deploy. And now we're in the process of deploying the DHCP configuration. If I was to do a show run DHCPD, currently there's nothing configured. In a moment here there will be some stuff configured, but we have to patiently wait for it to happen. We click on here and we go to tasks, or I should say deployment. It's going to show where we're at in terms of the deployment itself. I'm going to go ahead and pause until this is complete, and then we'll come back. Alright, so we have the deployment complete. If I hit the up arrow and I go show run DHCPD, now we're going to see that DHCPD is enabled, and if we come back over here, now we should be able to get an address here momentarily. If we do a show DHCPD binding all, there it goes. So we can see that it got an address. If we come back over here, we can see that it went through, and if we scroll back up to the top here a little bit, we can see that we sent out a discover here, then we broadcast out to everybody, and then we got received a boot reply packet with an offer from 10.1.3.1, which is going to be the FTD device, and then we have the request and so on and so forth. So we have all of the stuff that's going back and forth. If we show IP interface brief, we can see that 10.1.3.10 is our address. If we do a show IP route, we have a default gateway. Now you might say, well, you didn't configure a default gateway, Rob. How does it get an IP address that way? Well, because of the fact that we are configuring it as a DHCP configuration, you'll notice that the static route that was added to this guy is a 200 has an administrative distance of 254. That's going to happen by default, where if a DHCP address is given to an IP to an interface and it's got a default gateway, it's going to be a 254. So basically, you're making it almost the least preferred path, but 255 would make it unreachable. So therefore, we're within the range of being allowed. So that's how that comes into play. If I was to configure anything else, a dynamic route or anything else, that would automatically take precedence, and this would no longer show up in the routing table. But if I was to ping 10.1.3.1, I'm going to get a ping reply back, which is what I expect to see. So that is how you configure DHCP on a FTD device. Thanks so much for stopping by, everybody, and until next time, guys, take it easy.